I barely see teachers at Euphoria High. I see teachers, students, I seen an assistant principal. Where are the guidance counselors at?
There's please. Baby, don't you wanna come excite me? Sink your teeth into it, don't tread lightly. I'm dripping wet, you know it's
so we knew going into this episode, based off of like the previews that we got last week, that we were gonna get a Cal backstory kind of episode. And what made it even more apparent was the fact that the episode started with white ass cheeks on the screen. You know what I mean? I was like, of course. Of course it's a Cal backstory. Just how you start the episode. Anyway, y'all, I would like to say that it doesn't matter how many episodes of backstory, you could give this motherfucker 3, 4, 5 hours of backstory. Cal still belongs under surveillance. He still belongs under surveillance. I don't want to see his face anywhere. Like, I don't know. The showrunners tried to act like they were humanizing him, making us feel more empathetic toward his ass. Girl, I promise you that's not what happened. For me, at least, I really don't care. I was with Ash all the way on this shit. And also, we need to see what's going on with Rue's mom. I need to see backstory, origin story for her, cause girl, she just, I just feel so sorry for her. Anyway, so it starts off, you know, the stereotypical, the normal kind of story you expect when you see, you know, like motherfuckers walking around like this, repressed ass motherfuckers. Of course Cal had a best friend in school that he talked to all the time. Of course the friend was a guy. You know, of course there was sexual tension, and even though they were over here fucking around with girls and all this shit, specifically Cal meets Marsha and they just start fucking like literal, I don't even know, bunny rabbits on cocaine. Like, and then he was just so surprised at the end of it, like, oh my God, you're pregnant? And I'm like, take three tests. Are you sure that they're accurate? Y'all was fucking every day. Like, I mean, it wasn't even no mention of contraception. I didn't even see not even one condom wrapper or nothing. Like, what did you think was gonna happen? I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, from the wrestling, which was so homoerotic, like, obviously, from the wrestling to, you know, when Cal met Marsha, they started really getting down, and then, you know, Cal tells Derek, like, this is what's happening, you know, I'm eating that cooch, like, sweetie, I'm eating that cooch, and Derek's like, girl, I couldn't do that shit. I'm straight behind that shit. I'm straight, but I'm not that straight. That's what Derek said, and he went out to wrestling. I don't know, went to go wrestle that nigga, was just like, I win, yeah, pussy, I win. I was like, okay, this is just very on the nose. Very on the nose. Something that was even more on the nose was after all that shit, you know, when they ended up, we're approaching graduation at this point, they decided to go celebrate. And Derek was like, I know this one spot. I know this one spot that will really get us together. That will serve us, you know, we're gonna get our lives. So bitch, you know, we go to this spot. And it just, I was like, okay, they're going to a bar, bitch. I get in there, I'm just like, okay, 1 man, 2 man, 3 man, 4, 5 man, 6 man, 7 man, 8. Okay, it's giving very man in here. And I was like, what kind of bar is this? And I was like, oh, okay, we understand it. I get it. And then they start having this cute little sequence, and Cal and Derek start making out and shit, and I was like, okay, I'm still waiting for the part where I care. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still waiting for the part where, oh my gosh, it really humanizes, it makes me empathize with this monster named Cal. Like, I just didn't care. You know, next day he woke up in the bed and Marsha said, hey, guess what, mama? I'm pregnant. You know, I'm pregnant. Your son Nate is in here cooking. And we can obviously connect the dots as to why he resents. It seems like he resents Nate so much. Seemed like maybe he thinks that Nate really prevented his card from being sent to his address. And what I mean by that is Cal's Alphabet Mafia membership card. Maybe he thought that Nate's existing kind of prevented that card from reaching his address. So yeah, they gave us all this information about Cal, and I'm still looking at the screen like, okay, where's Ashtray? So as soon as the song started, Call Me Irresponsible, I was like, Rue's about to get her life, and that's exactly what she was doing. She was dancing all over the motherfucking house. I mean, blowing bubbles in the milk, in the kitchen. And Gia's sitting over there like, this bitch thinks she in High School Musical, like, like what the fuck? Gia's like, are you high? And Rue's like, ah, goddamn. But apparently she had set the groundwork for when something like this was like gonna inevitably happen. She takes us to this whole sequence. she's literally pointing at the screen, like pointing at the board, like Annalise Keating talking about how to get away with being a drug addict. And she was just like, gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. That's what she said. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. She said, girl, find you a cover drug, and hers at this point is weed, and she did this whole thing with Gia. Like, she set it up, gaslighting the fuck out of her, saying like, you know what, yeah, I'm not on drugs. What I'm doing though, what I want to do is smoke some weed. And Gia does not like that shit. Understandably, like they start screaming at each other. They're such great actresses. Storm's great. Like, they start dragging the fuck, like they're in there tussling and bustling, bitch. Like, it's giving Brooke Valentine throwing bows type shit. Like, but if you didn't feel sorry for Gia before in season 1, like, you really start to feel this shit now. Like, but that's just what people have to deal with when they are facing addiction or when they're living with people who are struggling with addiction. It's just that the addiction trumps everything. It just trumps everything. And I think that's like, this point that we're about to get to is what I think Ali was trying to prevent her from, you know what I mean, from even getting close to this kind of shit, is because he went through craziness like this as well because of what he was struggling with, and he was trying so hard to get Rue not to be at this place where she's lying to every single person in her life, every single person. Yeah, she just ends up really trying to manipulate Gia by saying, you know, if I don't do this shit, it's given very much I'm about to jump off a cliff. So it's either I smoke some weed or you won't see me anymore, basically. And Gia was like, okay, well, that's fine as long as you promise me. But she say, like, when you do drugs, it's not like when other people do drugs. So as long as you promise me, Rue, that it's just gonna be weed, then that's it. And Rue's like, and we're just like, oh, poor Rue. Like, damn. And it was just so funny to see Rue talking about, yeah, girl, I'm only doing weed, and she literally walks into a door while she's talking to Lexi. I was just like, so Jules and Rue are talking about Elliot, and then it like switches to Jules basically interrogating Elliot, and it's just so many questions because Jules obviously sees that something is going on. Like, she understands that, all right, there's something that I'm not aware of that's happening between these two, and if it's not like overtly sexual in nature, there's something like, what the hell is going on? Like, and Jules just keeps trying to ask Elliot questions like, are you bi? Are you gay? Do you want to fuck? Like, Jules is really going in. Do you want to fuck Rue? How many men or girls have you had sex with? Like, it was just a lot. They ended up calling, well, Rue ended up calling Jules a whore, and then Jules was like, a whore? And Rue was like, never mind, a slut, because, you know, they're just talking about how many people Jules has fucked at the same time. So it was a lot, but at the end of it, Jules ends up saying, you know, I don't think he's being sarcastic with me. I think he's being truthful. But you can still see that Jules just, there's something that doesn't sit right with her when it comes to Elliot and his connection to Rue. So she's just kind of keeping her eye on that for now. She says, though, that she's no longer interested in men, but I'm wondering how truthful that is just based off of what happens in the next part of the episode. What happens after that? They bike home, and Rue, as she can't keep up, they end up seeing Cal there for a second in his truck, and and Rue's like, okay, whatever. And that scene ends, I think, with them eating cooch on somebody's AC unit. I think that's it, yeah. I love the next sequence with Lexi, and she's basically just disassociating and just pretending like her life is a movie. And pretending like her home is not her actual home and her family is not her actual family. I'm sure that a lot of people can relate to that. But either way, this kind of shows us how she got to the point of writing her own play, like writing her own thing, like staying up all hours of the night to write this shit. And while she's doing this shit, writing this play that she wants to put on, she notices that Cassie is waking up all hours of the night too at 4 a.m. Let me tell you something about when I was in high school, bitch. Ain't nothing on this planet could get me to wake up earlier than the time I actually had to be up. Ain't no boy, ain't no nothing. The only thing that could have gotten my ass up was an assignment that I had to do that I probably procrastinated on, had to stay. I remember literally staying up all night to write an essay and printing that shit out and then going to catch the bus. It was terrible. But that's what I'm saying, like Cassie's literally waking, scrubbing her fucking face, beating her face down, bitch, doing her hair, bitch, scrubbing her fucking legs off, doing all that shit, putting on some cute ass clothes, just for Nate ass. And I'm just like, this shit is crazy, but it just represents so much, it just represents so much of what goes on in the actual world. Because, bitch, while she doing all that shit, Nate literally, he brushed his teeth, maybe, bitch. maybe, washed his face. I don't even know if he did that. He probably brushed his teeth for sure. But he literally woke up out of bed, brushed his teeth, put on a plaid shirt just to fucking ignore Cassie while she walking down the hallway. And this bitch was up since 4 a.m. girl. Like, you are, when I say down bad, like, the only time that Nate actually did pay her any fucking attention, any mind, is when she was, is when she literally studied Maddie's Pinterest. It's when she came to school looking exactly like Maddie, and Maddie was just like, she was like, what the fuck is going on? And Cassie was like, oh my God, even though I was walking this way for the past 10 minutes, my class is actually that way. Even though I've been to school for how long, bitch, I'm just now learning where my classrooms are, so my classroom's actually that way. So I'll see you later, Maddie, bye. I feel like the following scenes are probably, you know, the first signs that we kind of get that Jules and Rue and Elliott might become this weird triangle throuple kind of thing going on. They playing truth or dare. Jules is pissing in the middle of the goddamn street and on his car. Elliott is over here pretending like he's trying to hit on these guys and saying, hey, you know, I'm into scat play if you want to poop on each other. It was a mess. It was a mess. But I just feel something brewing there, and even though they think that shit is cute and sweet now, it's not going to be. It's not going to be in the future. Next episode, I feel like all this shit is coming crashing down. I really do. So here's where things start to get absolutely ridiculous, all right? So Rue is over here saying, hey, guess what? I have to find a way to do drugs for free. I just have to find a way. And if I did, it's just giving genius tease, you know? So she runs to Fez and says, hey, guess what? You know, all you have to do, I have a great plan. I have a master plan. All you have to do is front me 5 stacks worth of, of drugs. That's it. And Fez was like, absolutely. He didn't even listen to the rest of the fucking play. He was just like, girl, absolutely not. He didn't even sound excited when Rue was saying, hey, guess what, I have a plan. Fez was like, okay, girl, what? Just spill it. What is it? What is it? And as soon as Rue said, I just need you to give me 5,000 worth of drugs, he was like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I'm good on that. And Rue was just like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna find another way to do it. I'm just like, okay, what is she actually gonna do? In the back of my head, I kind of figured what she was planning on doing, but I was like, please, like, don't, please, ma'am. The next sequence was like basically the bitch you better be joking scene that we got in the previews for a long time actually. Cassie was walking, they're all in the bathroom essentially, and they were just like, ma'am, you look like you might be auditioning for Oklahoma. Like this play, first of all, Cassie don't even know that her sister putting on this play like that, so I can't even, I can't imagine how embarrassed this mom's gonna feel when all the tea's gonna be spilled up on that fucking high school stage. It's just gonna be a mess. So, you know, they come in the bathroom like, Cassie, are you auditioning for Oklahoma? She's like, bitch, do I look like I'm auditioning for Oklahoma? And they were just like, you look like a country music star, you know? And Cassie's like, in a good way or bad way? And Maddie's like, bitch, are you serious? And then at that point, Cassie turns to her friends and say, hey, guess what? Yes, no, bitch, I'm not okay. I'm screwing Nate Jacobs, bitch, and if you're mad about it, that's just gonna have to be between you and Sky Daddy, because, bitch, Maddie, you and Nate were not together, so I don't know what you're talking about. I was just like, wow. I knew that, you know, Cassie would be the reason why Maddie found out, but I didn't think it would be this overt. I was just like, I immediately tweeted, I was like, Cassie, you dumb as hell. But then I had to delete it because apparently it was just like a little sequence, and she wanted to say that shit, but she didn't. She just kept staring at herself in the mirror. So I was like, okay, all right, but I feel like the next episode, somebody is getting mollywopped. I just think so. Maddie's babysitting Theo, and Cassie's there, and Maddie's just talking about how, you know, she hates being single, and she knows that certain things with Nate was just very bad and not good at all. That shit was toxic. But she's like now in this mental state where she's asking herself, oh, was it really that bad? Like, but she even second guesses that, because she's like, maybe I'm just saying that shit because I'm stupid and lonely, so bored and lonely, whatever she said. And Cassie over here talking about, well, you just mean somebody who actually really loves you, and, you know, is excited to see you, and is very passionate about this shit. She's just, it's just so much that's underneath all that shit, because she was actually talking about herself. Cassie's talking about herself and her relationship with Nate, or whatever she thinks is a relationship. But they still fucking, like, during this scene we found out they still like going at it. They still going at it. And they going at it upstairs while Nate's parents are listening. That shit is just, that shit is like, I don't know. People really live different lives. Cause I mean, first of all, I just wouldn't even, bitch, let's go outside, bitch. Let's go in somebody's car. Like they already have the fuck mobile out there, which is Nate's truck. Like just go out. I don't know. But they were listening. Parents are listening. Yeah. Oh, I just wish I was in high school again. Or I miss being in high school. Like bitch, if y'all two don't go fuck somewhere, I just talk about reliving the good old days of being in high school. Listen to my kid fuck. It's just like that shit is weird. That shit's weird. Speaking of weird. Kat's dinner with Ethan's parents is very awkward and weird. We're just gonna see what's going on with that, I'm sure, in the next episode. Cal is over here dreaming, having ideations and shit. So he's like, you know what, let me go see about this tape. That's the last thing we see from that scene, because he's literally about to go to Fez's house, okay? Next scene we see is something just like, wow, it's just, Rue literally goes to her mama's closet and pulls out this blazer from Ross, okay? Pulls out this blazer from Ross and goes back to, what's her name, Laurie's house or whatever, that same house that she was at. I thought she was about to get her and all her teeth knocked out. I really thought that she was about to enter into another realm, okay? It really seemed like it was the episode of 24, that one episode, the first episode of the season, and the fact that she went back to that house with a whole PowerPoint presentation with business casual attire to go advertise this shit. She was just like, hey, guess what? She talks to Laurie. She's like, I found a foolproof system to sell without anyone snitching. As collateral, we would upload the runners' phones to an iCloud that I would own. So, I mean, they talk through the logistics of everything, because Laurie says intent to sell is a way bigger sentence, but Rue comes back and says, but not if you're a minor. And she ends up convincing Miss Drug Dealer, Miss Supplier. And she was just like, Laurie was like, okay, I'll just give you 50K. I'll give you a 50K suitcase and I'll front you that shit. And Rue was just like, even Rue was just like, nah, that's a little too much. She said 10K, that shit don't make it no better, no shade. But then she says this shit to Rue, if you screw me, I'll have you kidnapped and sold to some real sick people. I always find a way to make my money back. I'm serious. This is what makes me think that first of all, she went to Fez's fucking supplier. But Fez is gonna have to put himself on the line yet again to help Rue's ass. Like, I just think so. I think she's going to just get carried away with a big suitcase full of drugs like she just is. She's gonna be in major trouble next episode, I think. I guess the showrunners were just like, girl, here, Because Bobby's adorable. She's the girl who's helping Lexi out with her place. So, I don't know. They say, y'all want some black shit here, girl. Just... Anyway, so now we go back to this whole thing with Cal showing up at Fez's fucking apartment, Fez's house or whatever. And I'm just like, girl, if you wanted to be incognito, then be incognito. Bitch, you just riding around this big ass truck. This big ass truck, the only thing that truck is missing is a Confederate flag hanging out the back of that motherfucker. Like, that's the only, just to make, like, there's no stealth involved. There's no, you know what I mean? You're not hiding. You're just sitting there with this big ass truck that you have to literally jump in to get inside, expecting not to be seen, bitch. Ass shows up in the fucking window like with a shotgun on your ass. It says, what the fuck you doing there? He brings him inside the house. Fez is like, bitch, yo, what's up? Like, you was at the gas station. Now you over here acting stupid. Like, what the hell? Your family. And Cal was just like, oh, well, you beat up my son. And Fez was like, I ain't trying to hear that bullshit. He deserved that shit. Your bitch ass son deserved that shit. Like, bitch, why the fuck you here? Ashtray knew that Cal did not want the cops involved. He was just like, bitch, okay, you think you talking all this tough shit? Like, oh, girl, yeah, the chief of police. That's what Cal was saying. Oh, I'm gonna call the cops. Slapped him on the head with that damn shotgun a few times. Oh my God, she slapped his ass with that motherfucking gun and say, hey, bitch, if you want to call the cops, then call the cops. Dial, bitch. Sorry, that was funny. That's what Ashtray said. Dial, bitch, and he didn't. Cal didn't. Cal says, I know you and Rue are trying to extort my son because of what I did to the blonde. I didn't know that she was 17. Fez was like, bitch, you talking about Jewel? You talking about Jewel? Jewel? You tell me you fucking her? Cal was like, bitch, I don't want to hear none of that shit. I just want the disc back. And Fez is like, bitch, I don't know what disc you're talking about. What disc? You recording her? Who told you I gave a fuck about no damn disc? Who told you I cared about that shit? And Cal was like, well, you know, my son did. Nate said that shit. Fez at this point is completely checked out. He's like, bitch, I don't know what we talking about over here. I don't know what kind of weird ass father-son shit is going on. Even Faye was just like, do you fuck people with your son? It was disgusting. I lived to see Cal literally just leaking blood down the side of his face and all that. It looked like Kardashian bronzer just running down somebody's face. It was just, I got my life. Fez said that he could leave here without any issues as long as Nate is kept out of the lives of Jules, out of Rue's life, and out of Fez's life as well, just forever. So we'll see what Cal makes of that next episode. It seems like it's casting doubt in Nate's story, so we'll see. I don't know. Maybe he'll connect the dots. I just don't see Cal as somebody who's just gonna just give up and just not really do what he feels like is necessary to protect himself or to get that disc back or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe this is a temporary retreat. So we switch scenes. Jules is at Elliot's house, but Rue is missing. So, you know, Jules is texting Rue like, where are you at? Where are you at? But she walking around with a suitcase, mama. She walking around with a suitcase. Something is still not sitting right with Jules and, you know, her view of Elliot. She was like, what'd she say? She was like, why can't I shake the feeling that there is something that you're not telling me? Why don't I trust you? Jules asks him like, do you have a crush on Rue? Elliot says, I do. But then he says, I don't feel like Rue wants to actually be sexual with me. I don't think that she wants to. And they both kind of agree that Rue is not a super duper sexual, you know, being, especially as compared to maybe Jules or Elliot or whatever. But then Elliot starts laying it down hard on Jules, like telling her how fuckable she is and how unique and creative and how amazing her art is and how nice her body is and blah, 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 blah. But then he says this. Then he says, essentially, like, I'm sure Rue told you all of that, though. Like, told you all of that about yourself. You guys are in love, right? And Jules tells him to shut up. And it's just like, Elliot is a menace. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. Especially because when they talked in the beginning, Jules, he's like, well, I don't want to fuck both of y'all right now, or something like that. He said something like that, like implying that he wants to be sexual with the both of them. So I think something that they think will be fun will happen in the next episode. Like I said, throuple type of things. But when Jules figures out the connection between Elliot and Rue is drugs, I just don't, that is not going to be pretty for anybody involved. It's just not. So Rue's bold ass brings an entire suitcase that she could never take to TSA. She brings that entire suitcase into the NA meeting. And Ali, he literally he's like, he knows immediately that something is wrong, that something is weird. When they talk after their meeting, he says, what's in the suitcase? She tells him school books, essentially tells him to back the hell off. Tells him to shut the hell up or shut the fuck up or something like that. Ali's like, wait, what? Like, I'm not some parent that you can just treat like shit or something. And Rue goes for it, okay? She says, well, it's not like anyone is looking to you to be a fucking parent. And of course that hurts Ali. He's like, okay, like, I'm telling you shit about my life. Like, don't think that you can just use that shit up. You use that shit against me. Like, the next time you do that shit, it's over. Like, our connection is over. This is done. But he was like getting aggressive. He was getting like angry about it, screaming in her face or whatever. And she was just like, okay, so what you gonna do? You gonna hit me? And that obviously struck a chord because Ali used to beat on his family. And he was honest about that. His addiction had a lot to do with that, obviously. So, you know, he was just honest about that to Rue when they were talking. And she weaponized that shit. She used that shit against his ass. Now, you know me, I'm not somebody who's gonna be shedding tears over nobody who used to beat their family up. I'm sorry. But I understand how it's just like, damn, Rue, you know what I mean? Like, goddamn, Rue. And it was just ugly. It was ugly. He didn't even know what to say. Loved his acting. Love. Just the way he just looked so dazed and lost at that comment that she made. He just backed off and went upstairs, and that's it. Rue does not see what she's doing yet, but when she needs these people, when she needs her support system, they're gonna be nowhere to be found. And it's just like I said, obviously with people who are struggling with addiction, that comes before, and the drug comes before anything else. So it's a very realistic depiction of how people who are facing and struggling with addiction will allow or will encourage the disintegration of their relationships in their lives, as long as it means that they will have access to whatever drug that they want, or they're struggling with. So it was just a sad thing to see, And like I said, I really want to know more about Rue's mom, because Rue came in with this big ass suitcase, and I'm just thinking, like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Because Rue's mom immediately notices, obviously, that it's like, okay, well, you have on my clothes. Is that my TJ Maxx blazer, sis? And Rue lies and says, yeah, it is. I was just auditioning for Lexi's play or something. And Rue's mom's like, oh, okay. And Rue's mom just continues talking on the phone now to whatever friend she's talking to, like, yeah, she's doing really good. I'm so proud of her. And so I'm wondering, I would just love to get into her mom's mind, because like, you have to be in some kind of denial to not see, you know what I mean? That she is still on drugs. Like, it must be such a scary thing for her to deal with, or to handle, like her kid going through that shit, that maybe once she set up the precautions, or once she has this idea in her head that Rue is leaving the house to go to these meetings, that she's like, okay, she'll handle it, or it's handled. But I would love, like I said, I would love to see more of that character, more of the way she thinks, because I'm just like, I just don't know how you can't tell that she's she's on drugs. Like, I don't know. The last part of this episode is involving Cassie and Nate and Maddie. Cassie literally got all dressed up and walked her way down that motherfucking street, okay? Walked her way to that intersection, hoping to see the P-mobile, like I said, Nate's truck, and it was nowhere to be found. Nate's truck was actually outside of wherever Maddie was, all right? He hand-delivered flowers to Maddie's ass, and literally threw Cassie, just chucked her a text saying, hey, guess what, I ain't showing up. It's going to be, do you hear what I'm saying? It's going to be a hot mess. It's going to be a hot mess next episode. It's too much going on. It's too much going on. Anyway, on that note, hope you enjoyed this review, recap, reaction, whatever. Make sure to check me out on Patreon at patreon.com/AdrianExpression. New podcast episodes going up there every Tuesday as usual. I love you all so much, and make sure that you have a good goddamn evening.
Don't play with me. Don't play with me.